So welcome to Women Who Rock with Success, and thank you for tuning in with us today. We are on our second episode on today, and so our first episode just went wonderful. It was with audio with Linda Perillo with Perillo Tours, and we learned about Hawaii, we learned about Spain, we learned about Italy from her own family's heirloom touring a package, vacation package, and what have you. It was just so awesome. And today at 10 o'clock, we have Tara Fischer, and she's going to take us on the other side of the world, which is going to be also awesome today. And we're going to be talking about some safety tips and practices on her end is from the UK, and we're going to talk a little bit about Germany. So we're in for an exciting time for our second episode on today. So good morning, Tara, and welcome to Women Who Rock with Success.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Perfect. So tell us a little bit about you, just, as growing up and what have you and things, and then just kind of lead us a little bit as to what compelled you to be able to get into travel.
Yeah, so I've always been very curious about nature and the world and everything that is out there. I was traveling a lot with my parents and my family when I was younger. Like every school holiday, we would go places, and so I got to experience the world from a very young age, and that kind of just fueled the interest in me wanting to explore the world more. And because I wanted to keep doing that forever, I decided to actually found an online business, because that's the best way in which you can just travel and make money as well. So now I'm a life and success coach and travel coach as well. So I actually teach people, especially women, how they can travel solo, because it's something that I highly recommend everyone to do. And that's basically what I do and how I grew up.
Okay, perfect. That's so great. So let's get to talking about some tips that you have seen during COVID and what have you, as to some safety practices that women can be able to share on your side of Germany as well as the UK. Some things that you may can be able to share as to what would be some of the best safety practices that individuals can use. I know we were talking about the mask and what have you, but we still have one-on-one contact with the hands. Sometimes we have to open up the doors when you're going into a department store or even to a restroom when you're touring and what have you. So what are some of the things that you would like to offer to the audience as some of the best practices that we could be able to take in traveling?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first advice I want to give is to get informed about the particular country that you're going to. There's a lot of information about the COVID numbers and what areas in that country specifically have high case numbers and which have lower case numbers. And I think that also gives you an idea of which areas it might be more safe to go to and which not, especially if you're coming to Europe in general. Obviously, if you want to see one specific country, then there's no way around it. But you have so many countries here that you can go, and not every country, because you have to imagine that it's like the States. We can lock each country and sort of isolate it from all the other countries. So you can really every country has their own kind of numbers, and then it's maybe safer to go to Germany instead of Spain or whatever. I don't know the numbers exactly how they're now, but that's I think the first advice that I have, to really inform yourself about the regulations in each country. I know that France, for example, had very hard regulations. They weren't allowed to travel more than 10 kilometers from their home. So I wouldn't recommend going. Yeah, I know, that's crazy, but I wouldn't recommend going there. Well, in Germany, you're actually allowed to do everything, just limited contact and stuff like that. So and in the UK it's kind of the same. So that's the first thing. And then obviously to limit the contact, to go in single rooms instead of filled hotels or hostels or camping. I wouldn't recommend that either, just to really keep your distance, I guess. Also, if you go into restaurants, don't go in those that are super packed, or go into outdoor restaurants, things like that, do a picnic instead of like dining in a restaurant, maybe something like that. So yeah, that's the tips I have.
Okay, great. So we want to talk about the foods. We want to talk about some of the things that if the audience would was interested in coming to the UK, we're going to start with the UK first. We know that you
Mhm.
are in Germany at the moment. So if we wanted to be able to travel to the UK, what would a tourist expect as far as foods? Because like in the US, foods are different. We eat eggs, we eat biscuits, we eat bacon, we eat sausage, and what have you, and things. And so we talked with the previous guest from Peruvian Tours, and of course for breakfast they be eating bologna sandwiches and cheese and what have you. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to figure out what that would do to the stomach. But everybody is different in their own culture. So what would it be like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner traveling to the UK for a tourist?
Yeah, so like for breakfast in the UK, I think the most common one is the English breakfast. You know, you have beans and bread and eggs and sausages and stuff like that. If you want to have like a savory breakfast, I guess. But then there's a lot of like other options as well. There's a lot of clean eating options like porridge and stuff like that is also very common for breakfast. And then for lunch, I mean, it depends on what your personal preferences are, but I know that a lot of English people just have like the quick snack, you know, fish and chips or something like that. So that's a really great option. And then for dinner, there's nothing particular, or at least not from my knowing. I think there's just, especially if you go to like London or the London area, there's so many great restaurants that you can have like nice meals at, and you get really like every kind of cuisine there that you can possibly imagine.
Okay, okay, great, great. So we're going to talk about also about the nightlife and the dining in the UK, and then we'll get to the next segment. So tell us a little bit about that as far as the dining, some of the popular tourist attractions that are in the UK.
Yeah, so I think my most favorite cities in the UK are Bristol and London, of course. And Bristol is an amazing city if you want to have just like food tours all over the place, because there's so many amazing restaurants and really like small restaurants as well, that you can check out, and you can literally eat the whole day, which is amazing. And in London is just such a vibrant city, and there's so many amazing suburbs as well in London. One of my favorite ones is wait, now I forgot the name. Anyway, yeah, so there's like amazing suburbs where you have like whole food markets, you know, and a lot of like pop-up stores where you can get like secondhand clothes and stuff like that. So yeah, that's really, really great. And then obviously in London, like the London Eye and the Tower Bridge and those things are always great to see. And it's just really nice now that there's not so many tourists, you know, you can really enjoy those places without all the crowds and stuff like that. So I'm sure that's going to change soon. But for now, like if you would go today or in the next few weeks, I guess, or even months, I think it's still really nice. And then having like cruises on the rivers is also really, really great in London. It's a lot of fun, especially by night, because then you can see like what London has to offer for like the nightlife as well. And then also all like the lights and stuff like that is really impressive. So yeah.
Okay. So what are some of, we're going to talk a little bit before we get to the segment of Germany. We're going to talk about a little bit about you as to what are some of the takeaways that you want your followers and your audience to be able to know about the purpose and strategies of the reason why you love to travel as an expert.
So, you know, I love to travel because it's such an amazing tool to take you out of your environment. You know, we're so caught up in our routines and in our environment. We see the same people every single day, and we don't even notice how much we miss out on. And I think traveling just opens your perspective so much, and it changes the way you view the world. I remember when I first went outside Europe, I went to Australia, and it was just such a different culture, you know, and I experienced a lifestyle that I wasn't like thinking about. And also after that, I went to Indonesia, and it was totally different again. And I experienced, I think, especially go to places that are very different from the States and also even Europe. You know, I think that a lot of cultural things are similar in Europe and also in the States. So I think that if you especially go to places like Africa or South America, something like that, you experience the world from a total different perspective, and that just changes. You know, that opens different ways of thinking for yourself, and you can really reflect on yourself and on how you view the world. And then also, I think traveling just helps you to get to know yourself better. You know, you understand, okay, these are my likes, these are my dislikes, and this is how I really like want to create my life at home as well, because then you step away from your routines at home and you can really reflect on, okay, actually, I did not enjoy so much the way I was waking up every day. So maybe I want to change that when I'm back home. So this is what I love the most about traveling, and obviously meeting people from all over the world and like hearing their stories. Yeah.
I'm sure that would be therapeutic. I think a lot of times women, professional women, 9-to-5 women, stay-at-home moms, sometimes we can be able to fall into a quicker depression when we don't release ourselves into different other avenues such as traveling. I think that is also a therapeutic tool and strategy for women to be able to use as well. So kudos to you on that. I like that. I like that. You travel around, you try to get a different perspective, then you'll say, oh, I don't like this, or I don't like that, or I could be able to tweak this up a little bit better. And so you get to learn a lot of cultures as well while you're traveling on your adventures. That is so awesome. So we're going to talk about Germany. Germany is a little bit different. I know it's different from the United States. I'm to someone that was in the military that was stationed over there, and they was like, okay, it's against the law to have guns. I don't know if that policy has changed or not, but I know we are full of guns here in which is ridiculous. That's the reason why we have the highest massive incarceration in the world. If I'm not mistaken, the United States has the most incarcerated individual citizens in their own country in the world. And they were telling me, it's like, oh, Germany, I think we were in church or something like that. And it's like, oh, Germany, we went there and they don't have they don't have guns. I'm like, oh wow, that's where I need to be. So tell us about Germany.
Yeah, you know, Germany is special, I would say, because, you know, the people, they're very like, that's the way how I feel, but also how I heard a lot of people talk about it that just visited Germany, and the people are very like close-minded in a lot of areas. So they're very like focused on career and focused on like home life and like making money and all those things. And they can they can seem to be a little bit you know, rushed and not very open to communicate. But I think if you meet someone from Germany who's really present and who's open for conversation, you can learn a lot, because we obviously, like in Germany, that people have a lot of like education, you know, and they're very open in the sense of that they're curious about the world and what's going on in the world. And because the way the history was in Germany, they are, you know, the people are taught in school how to like see the world from a different perspective in terms of like not being judgmental and not being so like focus on their own nation. So that's really great. So they have a lot of knowledge. And then I think Germans, as well as people from the UK, they just love to travel and they love to like connect with people just not in their own countries. So that's amazing. And then in Germany, there's a lot of amazing nature. It's a very small country compared to like other countries in Europe, which makes it very packed with people. And there's like the cities are way smaller than in the UK and even in the US as well. So it might seem like a little bit of a culture shock if you come here, because you expect like, okay, Berlin is an international city and it's like so small. So yeah, I think that's like the main things about Germany.
Wow, great. That's great. So let's get into the food. Everybody likes to eat. For the previous guest that we had on the show, she was talking about that I think they had stayed for about 4 or 5 days. Where she was stating that the tourists had stayed about 4 to 5 days, and they had picked up like 15 pounds. She was saying that's all they do in Italy is just eat pasta and other different entrees and delicatessens that they have to offer in that country. So we want to talk about the food as far as I know we talked about the breakfast and what have you and things like that. So now in the United States we have like a 4 course meal, which are meats, we have potatoes, vegetables. Everything has to be perfect with the juice and milk and whatever that else that may go. So how is it kind of a little different, a little bit from the UK versus Germany's food selections?
Yeah, so in Germany, it's actually funny because we have those different states, and every different state has a little bit like different ways of eating as well. So I spent a lot of time and grew up part of my childhood in Bavaria. So I'm gonna share just what I experienced there. So it's very heavy food. It's very like dense and savory. So actually, like the most typical breakfast would be sausages with pretzels. So that's like, and then you have like beer as well. That's like the typical Bavarian breakfast. I don't eat that too much anymore, but yeah. So that's that. And then I mean, in terms of like lunch or dinner, it really depends. But there's a lot of like it's very meaty as well, like the traditional German kitchen is very meaty. A lot of potatoes as well. I don't know if you eat a lot of potatoes in the States, but that's also very typical. And then we do have a lot of like very heavy sweet stuff as well. There's one food that's called Kaiserschmann. It's like scrambled pancakes with applesauce. So it's like, and then you've got like sugar on top of it. And then there's also another, it's kind of like a cake, but very fluffy. And then in the middle is like some like jam kind of thing. And then on top of that, you've got poppy seeds and stuff like that. So that's kind of like the German cuisine.
Okay. That is great. Even with that, so tell us a little bit about some of the popular tourist attractions that are in Germany. A lot of the first thing that people, now I'm going to be honest, first thing that we think about, some of Americans, when we hear Germany, we think about the Nazis, or here come the rebels, or or something like that. We think sometimes we look at it as a negative. And as I stated before, we were talking in a discussion with some other individuals. It's like, oh no, they don't have guns over there and what have you. And I know it's not all about militant in the country of Germany. So I know that there are some popular attractions there where you are. So tell us a little bit about that. What's most famous for you as a traveling expert?
I think the Berlin Wall is the most popular one and the most like recommend, I think, as well to visit. There's a lot of like really great and beautiful cities, Berlin, Munich, Freiburg as well, Cologne. They're really pretty cities, especially in the summertime. And there's a lot of like nature. We have like the Alps right here. So, and it's actually like it takes from Berlin to the Alps about 5 hours by train. So it's really not that long. And it's like almost at different sides of the country. And then we do have like the ocean as well, which is really nice because you kind of get a feeling of some like ocean vibes. So that's something that I really enjoy as well. And then there's just a lot of like lakes as well that are really pretty, and they can offer a lot of great exploration as well if you want to go there. I would recommend though to come whether it's the UK or Germany, to come in the summertime, because there's just so much more to do than in the winter time, because obviously we get a lot of snow sometimes and it's cold and you can't like spend so much time outside. So I think if you really want to get the most out of your trip to Europe, come in the summertime, between April and late October, something like that.
Okay, great, great. So how can the audience be able to follow you with the last question we want to be able to share, Tara? How can the audience be able to follow you? How can they be able to find you if there's any social media links that you would like to share with the audience in regards to your travel, where you'll be next, how they can be able to pick up on that, and any other additional tips, tools, and resources that they would like to see and follow, because different people have different countries that they like to travel to. And so you can be able to share that at this time with the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So my Instagram account is tara.fischer. That's where I share all my travel pics and a lot of like education as well around traveling and how they can use it as a tool for personal growth as well. So that's a great way, and I'm always accessible there as well. They can send me messages and I'll give them all the advice to all the places that I have been to, and that I can give them some recommendations on. And then my website as well, I have a blog there where I share my travel experience as well as dedicated tips around traveling. It's tarafischer.org. And yeah, that's the two places where people can find me.
Okay, great. So audience, we have learned a lot about the UK, about the food, some of the nightlife, some of the popular tourist attractions that you can be able to explore there in the UK, and as well as our guest resides in Germany. And she also gave us full descriptions of some tourist attractions, some food and some nightlife and some entertainment there as well. She also shared with you her purpose as to why she was compelled to become a travel expert. And then you also have the information, the tools, and resources to be able to follow Tara even further, even after the show. So thank you so much for being our guest on today. And we hope to be able to have you back in the fall real soon, so we can maybe do a follow-up as to what's going on. I know sometimes when the seasons change, sometimes different things change as well. So thank you again for being our guest on today.
Thank you for having me, and I'd love to come back and talk about more countries.
Yeah, absolutely. You have a great day.
You too.